For the genre of our film, we've chosen horror, as we believe this will be easiest for us as we understand the aspects of a horror intro. When doing our introduction, we want to include mise-en-scene, sound, editing and camera shots to help present the typical horror genre and typical features that are included in a horror film. When we're doing the sound, we want to make sure it's eerie to set the atmosphere for the audience and to help the genre be recognisable for the audience. The lighting we also want to be dark, as it will help, again, improve the atmosphere and show the horror elements of the film opening.
Breakdown of the sequence. Our first shots will be like a sequence of different panning shots of the characters, so our protagonist, not antagonist. And that also allows the audience to understand the setting. And then we'll then transition into shots of our protagonist. And this will be like shots of them walking and shots of them walking around like the whole area. And then this will give the audience an idea of what's happening and will show them the antagonist and kind of get an idea of who they are. And then we'll include a time-lapse shot, show the busy surroundings to show that it could happen anywhere, even if it's a busy place or a quiet place. And from like the crowds, you kind of see the man mysteriously at the end, which creates a creepy atmosphere. We then move on to the woman walking on the train, show that she's in a busy place as well and she's not all alone. And then we move on to shots which include the CCTV shots of the man walking around the house to again create a creepy atmosphere, and the woman returning home to show that she's been followed home.
With our main protagonist being a woman, it allows us to represent the problems in society, which are women being seen as vulnerable and alone and generally just weaker. And for instance, a woman is being targeted by a male stalker, and today's society men are seen as more powerful, stronger than women, so we decided to follow these stereotypes to just have an easier representation of them. And someone that typically dresses in all black clothes with a hood up are usually seen as dodgy or antisocial, and that they're going to cause trouble. And following these stereotypes, we can make the audience easily recognise who the character is without revealing too much of their personality, and it will just give them a quicker understanding of who the antagonist is by their clothes.
The tone and mood for our film introduction is we want to have it dark and mysterious. This means we can see our chosen genre easily, and we'll also have it for our target audience, which will be 16 to 34. We will achieve this by using darker tones and colours to make a darker setting. The use of chilling piano music will set a more eerie tone to the scenes. With the use of mise-en-scene, we will use a rough and dark costume for the antagonist, so the audiences can recognise the characters in the introduction, and we can see the main theme and aspects of the introduction.
Our target audience. Our target audience is people with the range 16 to 34. I think this best target audience, as when we did our research, is the most common age range, and also this is the age range that likes the horror genre the most, so this will be most beneficial when producing our introduction. And also due to secondary research, it shows that this age range is a perfect target audience for a horror genre, and for the most successful horror films, this has been the most successful audience.
With locations, most of the scenes will be shot in the busy town centre of Reading to make the scenes more intense and that there's more going on and that there's more to break down. And with the stalker being in a busy city, it shows that the protagonist isn't aware of everyone there and that she's not necessarily alone, but she isn't aware that there's someone following her. And being surrounded by people every day makes her just look more clueless to her following and less likely to spot it. Being in the city gives a sense of normality to the protagonist, as she is a regular woman living in the city by herself. There will be scenes shot at day and night to give the audience the idea that she's being constantly watched and stalked, which is suiting to the genre and theme of the movie, which is horror. And at night, the dark and gloomy lighting will establish the horror aspect and atmosphere to the movie.
Our influence from the other films, the first one is Unsane. This is because the camera shots and editing techniques linked well with our chosen idea, especially the camera shots of the girl walking and the short clips of the stalker which occur throughout, which are shots that we would like to recreate in our piece.
Another one is It Follows, and this film has a lot of shots which are filmed in like a dark atmosphere, which is similar to our idea, and the shots taken in the night and the person's dressed in black, which is again an idea that we had for our film.
And our final influence is Unforgettable, and it's influential to us because of the overpowering and dominant character that we want to use their aspects from to be able to portray the antagonist of that character.
That's the end.
Yeah, thank you very much. Any questions from anyone? You haven't mentioned a title yet. Are there any potential titles that you're thinking about, or is that still in the
We don't really
the
have
embryonic
another.
stage?
We're trying to come up with one, but we're struggling at the moment. But we will have. It's
We'll get there.
something to do with the stalker. We're just trying to find the right title.
You don't want to be too cliched or
Yeah,
too.
too basic
Yeah.
sort of things.
And given that you are going for quite a conventional person stalker, what's your unique kind of selling point going to be here? How are you going to make sure that it sort of stands out from perhaps maybe more generic fare? Is there anything you can do to play around with those conventions a bit more?
I think we just want to use like the most unique aspects of like different influences that we can, rather than just using the most simple basic shots that we can. So we're going to have a big play around with camera shots and angles, like the time lapses and everything, that we can try and just make it as unique as possible, really.
Great. Thank you very much.